Police found barrels hidden on the property. Inside were the bodies of people he killed. This confirmed he was a serial killer. His crimes are shocking. Finding the truth is important, but it's hard for the families. As detectives kept searching, they learned more about Robinson's crimes. During the early 1990s, the internet, as we recognize it today, was just starting to take shape. Back then, only a handful of individuals were actively engaging online on a regular basis. However, for those who did, internet chat rooms offered a unique sense of community and camaraderie, particularly for those with niche interests or alternative lifestyles. These virtual spaces provided a gathering spot for enthusiasts to discuss their passions long before platforms like Reddit existed. Among those early adopters of online communication was John Edward Robinson, a deeply troubled individual whose nefarious activities earned him the moniker the Internet's first serial killer. Robinson's criminal escapades are a chilling tale of manipulation and murder, exploiting the emerging digital landscape to prey on his victims. Beginning with acts of fraud and embezzlement, his criminal endeavors escalated into a string of disappearances and killings that sent shockwaves across the nation. John Robinson came into the world on December 27, 1943, in Cicero, Illinois, landing in a family of 5 kids with Henry and Alberta Robinson. His dad was known for being abusive and alcoholic, while his mom was a strict disciplinarian. In 1957, he achieved Eagle Scout status and even traveled to London with a scout group, getting a kiss from Judy Garland backstage. He started at Quigley Preparatory Seminary in Chicago, hoping to become a priest, but left after a year due to behavior issues. School wasn't his thing, often getting into fights and spending lots of time in detention. In 1961, he tried college in Cicero to study medical radiography but left after 2 years. Then in 1964, he settled in Kansas City, marrying Nancy Jo Lynch and having 4 kids. Trouble followed him, though. He got busted in 1969 for stealing $33,000 from his radiography job and ended up on probation. Moving to Chicago got him in more trouble, leading to more probation time. He kept up a facade of respectability, working as an insurance salesman, and even becoming a scoutmaster and Sunday school teacher. But behind the scenes, he was up to no good. In 1977, he pulled off a scam by forging letters to make himself look like a big shot. After his probation ended in 1979, he got caught again for embezzlement and check forgery, landing him in jail for 2 months in 1982. But he didn't learn his lesson. He continued his schemes, even stealing money from a friend meant for his dying wife's medical bills. In the 1980s, John Edward Robinson began targeting vulnerable women through elaborate manipulative cons, leading many of them to their deaths. Robinson's modus operandi was as calculated as it was macabre. With a keen understanding of human psychology and a knack for manipulation, he preyed upon the vulnerabilities of his victims, often promising them a better life or financial gain. Robinson used carefully constructed ruses to lure his victims in. He would pretend to offer them high-paying jobs, relationships, or other enticing opportunities. For instance, he persuaded Lisa Stassi, a single mother, that he could get her job training and daycare for her baby. He convinced Beverly Bonner, a prison librarian going through a divorce, that he would employ her at one of his businesses. To vulnerable and struggling women, his promises sounded like a lifeline. His charm and charisma masked a dark intent as he lured unsuspecting individuals into his web of deceit. Robinson's victims, largely women seeking companionship or opportunity, fell victim to his cunning facade, unaware of the horrors that awaited them. In 1984, Robinson's crimes took a dark turn with the disappearance of Paula Godfrey. Promised a job as a sales representative for his management consulting firm and a bright future. However, Godfrey vanished after Robinson claimed to have sent her to a clerical skills course in Texas. Her family's anguish was met with eerie silence, their only solace being a suspicious letter, purportedly from Paula, stating she was okay. This marked Robinson's transition from a conman to a suspected murderer, using employment as a lure for his sinister motives. Despite her parents' efforts to uncover the truth, Robinson's deceptive tactics and the forged letter purportedly from Godfrey hindered any meaningful investigation, leaving her fate shrouded in mystery. The disappearance of Paula Godfrey marked the chilling commencement of John Edward Robinson's murderous spree. In early 1985, Lisa Stassi and her infant daughter Tiffany fell victim to Robinson's sinister machinations in a tale of heartbreaking deception. Stassi, a young mother seeking stability, fell prey to Robinson's promise of a job and a new life. Robinson, going by the alias John Osborne, preyed upon Stassi's vulnerability, promising her stability and a bright future in exchange for her compliance. Tragically, both Stassi and Tiffany vanished shortly after their encounter with Robinson. It would later be revealed that Robinson had sold baby Tiffany to his brother and sister-in-law, who he knew were looking to adopt a child. The couple gave Robinson about $5,000, which he had told them was for legal fees. The extent of the deception, as well as the revelation of Tiffany's real identity, would finally come to light in 2000. This incident only further highlights the opportunistic and psychopathic nature of Robinson and his willingness to exploit anything or anyone for his personal gain. In 1987, Catherine Clampett's quest for a better life led her straight into the clutches of John Edward Robinson. Seduced by promises of adventure and opportunity, Clampett eagerly embraced Robinson's offers, only to disappear without a trace in June 1987. Despite her family's relentless pursuit of justice, Clampett's whereabouts remained unknown, leaving a void of uncertainty and sorrow in their lives. The only thing that temporarily paused Robinson's killing spree was his incarceration in 1987 on multiple fraud convictions in Kansas, and later his imprisonment in Missouri for separate fraud convictions and various parole violations. While locked up in Missouri, Robinson befriended a prison librarian named Beverly Bonner. Soon after his release from prison in early 1994, Bonner left her husband and moved to Kansas to be with Robinson. After forming a connection with Robinson during his incarceration, Bonner abruptly severed ties with her former life, entrusting her fate to a man whose true nature remained shrouded in darkness. As the years passed without any sign of Bonner, her fate became intertwined with the haunting mysteries surrounding Robinson's other victims. Following his release from prison, Robinson became involved in BDSM chatrooms where he used the handle Slavemaster. This allowed him to further engage in his desire to hurt and dominate women while appearing to role-play. Simultaneously, Robinson also used the internet to place help-wanted ads for his non-existent businesses. He presented himself as a charitably minded well-to-do businessman, promising vulnerable women employment as well as a place to live. Such was the tragic case of Sheila and Debbie Faith, a mother-daughter duo, who found themselves ensnared in Robinson's intricate web of deception and manipulation. Promises of financial stability and a better future lured them into Robinson's grasp, only to meet a tragic fate at his hands. Enticed by the promise of employment as well as a promise to help pay for Debbie's extensive medical bills, in 1994 Robinson convinced Sheila to leave her home in California and come to Kansas. Sheila and Debbie Faith disappeared soon after arriving in Kansas. However, as was his pattern, Robinson was able to continue to cash Debbie Faith's pension checks for years after she went missing. The disappearances of Sheila and Debbie Faith left a void in the lives of those who loved them, serving as a grim reminder of the insidious nature of Robinson's crimes. The next known person to fall victim to Robinson's murderous ways was a young 21-year-old Polish immigrant named Isabella Lurked, whom Robinson had met on a BDSM match site. Lurked agreed to participate in an S&M lifestyle with Robinson as a submissive. Robinson also promised her a job at one of his companies. When Lurked arrived in Kansas from Indiana, Robinson had her sign a 115-item slave contract which gave Robinson full control over her life, including her finances. Shortly after meeting Robinson in 1999, Lurked disappeared. Suzette Troughton's murder in 2000 epitomizes the culmination of Robinson's crimes. Lured with the promise of travel and a relationship, Troughton's trust was fatally betrayed. After meeting Robinson in a BDSM chatroom in March 2000, the 27-year-old nurse traveled to Kansas to participate in a master and slave relationship with Robinson. As he had done previously, Robinson sent Troughton's family several typed letters expressing that she was fine and enjoying her time with Robinson. However, Troughton's mother did not believe the letters had been written by her daughter, noting that there appeared to be no spelling or grammatical errors in the letters, which was unusual for Suzette. Her murder and the subsequent discovery of her body in a chemical drum on Robinson's property marked the beginning of the end for Robinson, as her mother's persistent search for answers led to his arrest. John Edward Robinson's arrest in June 2000 marked a turning point, exposing his facade of a successful businessman hiding dark crimes. Despite his calculated control, careless actions led to his downfall, triggered by minor charges. A search of his property revealed hidden barrels containing the remains of his victims, confirming him as a serial killer. Further investigations uncovered more victims, laying bare Robinson's heinous crimes and the devastating impact on those affected. Robinson faced justice for his crimes in a landmark trial culminating in 2002. His conviction as a serial killer highlighted the dangers of internet predators and the need for innovative law enforcement techniques. Robinson's death penalty and life sentences underscored the severity and breadth of his crimes, ranging from fraud to murder. The trial offered some closure to the victims' families, but also served as a stark reminder of the human toll of his actions. Robinson's case remains a significant chapter in the ongoing evolution of criminal justice in the digital age. John Edward Robinson utilized manipulation and violence to carry out his crimes against multiple women. Promising jobs or relationships, he gained control over his victims' finances before brutally ending their lives. His deception and facade of respectability allowed him to evade suspicion for years. Robinson's sociopathic tendencies, including a desire for control and a hatred of women, drove his murderous spree. Despite his conviction, the full extent of his crimes remains unknown, leaving lingering questions and a search for closure for his victims' families.